and welcome to another interesting episode of Let's Talk with Chisom, Let's Talk Live, which we usually have every Saturday, 9 p.m. Nigerian time. Yeah, so don't mind me, I'm a bit distracted. So this is going on at my background. I hope you guys can hear it, but it's fine. Okay, so again, welcome to another interesting episode of Let's Talk Live. My name is Chisom Wanoro, and on this YouTube channel, we usually talk about real life issues, contemporary issues, or look at them from a Christian perspective. So, if this is your first time, please hit the notification bell and click the subscribe button so you know when we put up new and edifying content. Yeah. So, if you're live, please just say hi and let us know that you're live and just say hello and feel free to ask questions. Feel free to make your comments and stuff like that while we talk. Okay, so for today we'll be doing something a bit different. We've done this before. We did this video, I think about 2, 3 weeks ago, but we had an issue with the audio. So I just thought, okay, why don't we take this again, right? So this is me taking this video again, more or less, right? But of course, it's not going to be exact. So for today's episode, I will not really be reading scriptures. I will not really be what's it called? It's not going to go by the books like normal books, right? Today we'll just be gisting. I just want to share something that hit me some weeks ago. It's kind of changed, or rather turned, or rather it questioned my orientation and my view of life and virtually everything. Yeah, so I just thought it was really profound and I thought to share, right? So, how do I put this? So some years back I had this very funny experience of when I went to buy I wanted to buy this showcase and it was a very down moment in my life. I had just lost my hobby and I relocated I moved from one state to another. So I was literally starting life afresh. And I remember trying to buy this showcase because I wanted to set up my business. And I was talking with a woman, and usually this is like a confession. When I'm buying stuff, when I go to like price or to bargain, in Nigeria will call it price. I would want to play the card of I lost my husband, though, please pity for me. So while the woman was telling me the price, and I was there, playing the pity party card. I was like, okay, ma, I just lost my husband. I have 4 kids, and can you call? With the hope that the woman will listen to me and give me some concession. The woman not even she not even raising me. She don't even do like so she get anything. I was like, okay, just was like this card is not working. Thank God it wasn't working because probably if it was working, I would have kept doing it for a while. But that brings me to a point where many times we feel like things have happened to us and we feel like I should throw a pity party. I'm entitled to my pain. I feel like a lot has hit me in my small life. So I'm entitled to my pain. Sometimes we just feel like I didn't deserve this. Sometimes we just feel like I deserve better. Sometimes we just feel like God didn't do right with us. Sometimes we just feel like this is not supposed to happen to me. Maybe somebody else. I've been a Christian. I'm a good person and all that stuff. And we just feel like certain bad things should not happen to us. But then we look at our lives and we just see that, okay, certain bad things happen to us. Well, if you happen to find yourself in that situation or you know somebody, bring your seat closer because this video is for you. Because I went through that phase where I would literally tell myself, Chisom, you earn the right to cry. You earn the right to be sad. You earn the right to sulk. You earn the right to feel sad. You earn the right to throw that pity party. You earn the right for people to look at you and have pity on you because something bad have happened to you. You get, and I just discovered it's a lie of the enemy. Something that the enemy just uses to hold us down because is that who really God says you are? Now that's a story for another day because the devil tries to play those cards to bring us to that place where you know, we are not able to see what God is doing. We're not able to see the journeys that God is taking us through. So basically, I was in that place for a while because I lost my hobby at the age of 30. And for somebody like me that had given my life to Christ when I was SS1, I was 14 years at the time. And I had been a church girl, born into a Christian home, right? Serving the Lord, kept myself. Married, I was chaste until I got married. I didn't do all those things people literally call bad stuff. I was a good girl. And there's certain things that shouldn't have happened to me, right? And 15 years down the line, I was married. My hubby passed at the age of 30. I was with 4 children. And I was like, no, God didn't do right with me. There's something must be wrong. Something is not adding up. And to make it worse, there was this experience we had when he was ill. We went to see this so-called herbal person, and upon getting there, we found out that he was a juju priestess. The candles, the incense, the whatever, the red robe, white robe, you know, and we knew that okay, this place was not right because it was against our Christian faith, and my little was like, let's just hear them out. We're already here. So we listened to what they had to say, and they were like, okay, you don't have to do anything. A lot of Christians do it. All you just need to do is we'll use an oil to anoint. But you know what? You could bring your own oil so you're sure. So you not say it's from us. You just bring your own oil, and then we would lay hands on it, and then we would, bless it, and then we would now use it to anoint. And I was like, same difference. If I bring the oil and you bring the oil, once you anoint it, or more, same difference. So you're like, that's all we needed to do. And then she'll give us some drugs and he'll be fine. But she said something. She said, if we don't do it, he's going to die. And she could see, death was hovering around him and blah, blah, blah. We knew it was real. We knew because from the diagnosis, we knew that it wasn't getting better. From the diagnosis, we knew that it was getting worse. From the diagnosis, the doctors had told us there was no hope. And here, somebody was telling us that there was hope, but it was against our Christian faith. And at that point, I am a little bit had to step out for a few minutes to talk. And when we talked, we decided we're not going through with the Jojo Priestess solution. So the people that brought us there was like, they would not let us hear the end of it. They said all sorts. But there was this part of me that just felt like just so because you trusted God. You know how Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego stood for God. So I'm just checking, you're listening to this video, and you just checking, playing things out in your life. I stood for God in the office. So I stood for God when that man said, if you don't sleep with me, I'm not going to marry you. I stood for God, when he had to do with um, um, what's it called? Truth and integrity. I stood for God. I stood for God when he had to do with the safety of my children. I stood for God when he had to do, and then God, for some reason, did not show up. Well, that was the same thing that happened because I felt because, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego stood for God, God showed up for him. So I just felt, okay, if I stand for God, then God will show up for me. Wherever I got that idea from. And we felt that because we were standing for God, God was going to show up for us and was going to heal him. But it didn't happen that way. I remember everybody telling us, oh, don't worry, You trusted God. Oh, you trusted God. Don't worry, he's going to show up. Oh, it's going to be fine. Because you have faith, it's going to be fine. As if to say, once you believe a certain thing, you've put God in that place. Oh God, I trusted you. You need to show up for yourself. And God has to show up, but he didn't show up the way we wanted him to show up. Because for me, God showing up at that point was he was going to heal Hobby. Unfortunately, Hobby died of that illness. And then for the next few months, I was not able to worship God. I was not able to praise God. I was not able to lift my head. I would come to church and just cry. I would come to church, I'll come to meetings, and I literally just drag myself there, and I would just cry. And I just kept telling myself that God did not do right with me. God failed me. I know that God is faithful. I know that God could have saved him. I know that God had the power to do everything, but he chose not to. And I was like, God failed me. And I was able to lift myself out of that place. So I'm talking to someone that is in that place where you're just wondering, God did not do right with me. I trusted him. He owed me, to show up for me. God ought to, pay me. He owes me something because I stood up for him. He ought to, in return, stand up for me. He ought to, in return, show up for me. Something like that. And then you trust God, maybe for your child, maybe for a job. They're like, if you don't play the ball, play the corrupt ball, you lose your job. And you're like, no, I'll trust God. And then you go home feeling like, because I trusted God, he's going to make it work out. Sometimes it doesn't really work out that way. For me, it was a huge shock. And at that point, it was like, okay, does it mean that in all my 15 years of loving God and being a Christian, I didn't really love God for who he was? I was loving God for what he was doing for me. Because why was I not able to praise? Why was I not able to worship God when this happened? Why did my belief in God get twisted when he didn't save my hobby? So I was in this place for a while until I remember just attending one vigil in my pastor's house, and I think in your life where you just feel like I don't even know why I'm worshiping God. I don't even know what I'm doing. Shall keep showing up. Shall keep coming to his presence. Shall keep going to church, even though you don't understand it. Shall keep reading your Bible. It might feel like you're passing time. It might feel like it's not working. It might feel like this doesn't make sense. Just keep showing up, because in showing up, God has a way of showing up for you in return because you showed up. So that day was just like every other meeting I would attend. And I remember worship was going on, and I was just there crying. I was like, God, I know you are God. God, I know you have the power to do all things, but you chose not to. Can you make it make sense? Because this does not make sense. I've loved you, I've served you. This man loved you, he stood for you. But why didn't you save him? So I remember that day the Lord said to me, he said, you worship me for who I am and not for what I do. And I was like, okay. I've been a Christian for about 15 years at the time. And I didn't know this. It was a shock for me. So apparently I've been following God, I've been worshiping him for the things he gave me. So the question now is, if you are going through that tough phase in your life and you're beginning to question every other thing, you're beginning to question your belief in God, you're beginning to question, is God really what is? You're beginning to question, is God really faithful? The question is, why have you believed God in the first place? Why do you worship God? Because for me, it was like, Chisom, in as much as you claim to love God, you really don't love God. You were following him, you were loving him because things were good. You were loving him because he was there for you. Now that he didn't show up for you the way you wanted him to show up for you, it feels like God failed. And then you now want to just go back, you just want to step, like have some steps backward, and you're like, it's like this God thing is not working, because that was how I felt at the time. So that was like, it was a huge one for me, because I was like, okay, Chisom, did you really love God? Why were you serving God in the first place? Now, let's put it alongside someone that had even a worse experience, or worse. That's not a word. But a worst case scenario, that's the story of Job, where the Bible says that Job lost seven sons and three daughters in one day, and he lost everything he had. Now, when we say everything he had, he was the wealthiest man in the East at the time. So, you want to like him with the likes of Dangote, Otedola, stuff like that. People like that. We want to like him with people that their names are ranking in Forbes. So you tell me that somebody of that caliber loses everything he has in one day, lost his children, and I'm just imagining the headline saying big oil mogul loses 10 children to fatal accident. And then while people are still like, wow, oh no. And then you hear another breaking news the same day saying big oil mogul or big time businessman, Job, loses all his properties to fire, water, and this. More internet will scatter, because it's going to be like, what is going on? And you don't want to know what the man will what will be going on in his head. Now, I lost my hobby, and then for years. Sorry. Yeah. So, guess what? Sorry for the break in transmission. I want to believe. Please let me know if you can hear me now. Thank you so much, Douglas, for calling my attention to that. Okay, I think this is up. Yeah. So, let me just, due to the distraction, thank you so much, Douglas, for letting me know, calling my attention to that. Black Leo says, Shy, life can be tough. Thank God for your strength. Thank God indeed. Long Chunks said, hi, so sorry. You said hi several times and I didn't. together for you. So everything is working together for you. All things are working together for your good. Okay, so I think my audio is out again. I'm just going to hold on, please. Yeah, but it's all good because we're already at the end of we've already come to the end of today's live session. So as I said, all things are working together for your good, whether it's good, whether it's bad, whether it's something you don't understand, all things are working together for your good. So just give God the benefit of doubt and trust Him that even this situation that you don't understand is definitely going to work together for your good. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for Thank you so much for listening. Okay, I'm sorry the audio was gone at some point. I hope it's up again. Yeah, I hope it's up again. Thank you so much for joining. We've come to the end of today's live session. I hope that this video has blessed you. I hope that this video has just brought you to that place where you just not see things from your perspective, but see things from the perspective of what is God trying to do. Just give him the benefit of doubt and just trust that even the worst and the bad situations, he will definitely work it out for your good. Yeah. So if this video has blessed you, please do well to share it with a loved one. Give us your comment, give us your thoughts, give us what do you think about this? What's your feedback? And we'll be glad to hear them, and we'll also be glad to respond as well. And we'll see you next week, Saturday, 9 p.m., for another interesting episode of Let's Talk Live. My name is Theo Chiso Wanaro. God bless you and enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye.